What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, unfortunately, is not a good day. As you can see, we have both of our Yamaha R1s over here, and you can see the 2001 has some parts taken off of it, same with the 03 as well. So basically what is going on is my 2001 R1 has been sitting for a while, and obviously these bikes are starting to get a little bit old. We did finish up the 2003 R1. That thing's all set. There's a reason why the battery's out, and I'll get into that in a second. But back to the 01, basically what's going on is the bike will not crank. I turn the key, everything would turn on, the dash would light up, the high beams, the signal, the horn, everything works over there. I flip this switch, you hear it click like it should. I press the starter button and I get absolutely nothing at all. So I did find out what the problem is, but I'll get to that answer towards the end of the video. But I do want to show you some things that you could do for preventative maintenance on these machines, because they do get old. And what happens is with the electrical parts, there is some corrosion going on, and it happens. It's not like this bike has ever been left outside. It's never been left outside. It's always been garaged. But unfortunately, with age, stuff like this does happen. So the first thing that I would like to show you is a lot of the problems that may end up going on with the dash or stuff like that is that the big white connector, which is on this left side over here, it is actually right inside here. You can see that big white connector, and there's that little small white connector as well. There's a lot of times that gets all gummed up and you need to clean it. So it is always a good rule of thumb, maybe every year or two or every now and then. It might not be that frequent, but definitely if like 5-6 years go by, it's probably not a bad idea to pop this panel off and clean the contacts on this big white connector that's in there. You just pull this back, and as you can see it. And actually on mine, there's a very little corrosion on the inside. I did clean it up, but like I said, it does happen. These bikes are old now. These things are running, especially this one, we're running 24 years old. We're the 99, 2000, 98, they're even older now. So stuff does happen with the electrical, and stuff does get gummed up with corrosion. So you got to use something like this, electrical cleaner, and you open the big white connector open that up, you pull them apart, spray the cleaner in there, you can blow it out with compressor. That's what I did, and you could basically just plug it back in. It's probably not a bad idea to put some that electrical grease in there, but these two are cleaned, and that will just help overall with the whole electrical system and little gremlins that you may end up having over time. So like I said, the problem was I turned on the key and nothing would happen when I pressed the starter button. It wouldn't click, it wouldn't do anything at all. And at first I thought that the battery was dead. So I did swap out the battery from my 2003 R1, which I knew was working. It started that bike perfectly fine, and in my opinion, it probably needs a little bit more juice to start that thing, since it has more to it, like a fuel injection system, than it does this carved bike. So I swapped the battery into there to first rule that out. I used the multimeter on it, made sure that the volts were good and everything. So that X'd out that problem. So the battery was fine, and I was still having the issue. Like I said, turned on the key, nothing, would not do anything, wouldn't crank. I wouldn't hear the little fuel pump kicking fuel to the carbs. I didn't hear that at all. The little trickle that you hear, the little tick, 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 tick. I didn't hear anything like that at all. Now, sometimes when you don't get spark or something to that sort, usually this big relay, this one right here, the 5EB8195020, this is on a 2001 bike, by the way. A lot of times, sometimes that can be an issue. I've had issues where a bike would start when it was cold, it would run perfectly well, and then after a couple minutes of the bike running, it would just end up bogging out, and it'd be a real pain to start. And that was actually this relay going bad, that after the bike ran for a minute, I don't know if the bike or the relay started getting heated up or whatever it was, but the bike would just bog out. I was riding the thing, not on this particular one, but another 5JJ model, but I was riding it and the thing would just bog out. Even if I had it pinned, it would just end up dying after a little bit of riding. And it was that relay. So if you ever have that problem where your bike is just randomly bogging out after riding for a bit, and it's a real pain, and sometimes it'll start back up. You might get a little bit farther and then it just ends up bogging out again. It's probably a good chance that this big relay, or whatever you want to call it, is bad, so you could replace that. Now, next thing I thought was, okay, we could always check the fuses. Little fuse box is right over here. You can pop this open like so, and you got all your fuses right there. I checked all those were in good shape, nothing was broken, everything was fine. So that checked out good. Then I thought, okay, what's next? I don't think the ECU is bad. It started perfectly fine before, probably like a month ago, or a little bit less. It started up just fine. Turned the key, clicked it right over, started right up, no problem. But like I said, so the ECU is definitely fine. Usually the ECUs don't go. Next, which is actually the problem on this bike, was the starter relay. This thing plugs into here. And I noticed when I was looking at the starter relay, you can see the right side gold pin looks a lot better than the left. And I already cleaned this up off camera because I wanted to find out the answer before I made this video, just so you guys would be aware. But there was corrosion on this top gold pin over here where my finger is, right there, the top gold one, the top left. There was not a crazy amount, but there was corrosion on there. So I ended up cleaning up all these contacts, and I sprayed this out a little bit and cleaned it. You can see that this one's burnt up just a tiny bit, and that's actually the one where the corrosion was. But this is actually fine. So I'm gonna plug this back into here, and then you're gonna see that the bike does start. I wish I took a little video before where I was really pressing this and it wasn't doing anything at all, but you get the whole point. So let me go plug this back in, and then we'll see that it does fire. All right, here we go, guys. Key on, choke is on. Beautiful. Started right up, no problem. As you can see, the bike started up, no problem. It cranked over and it was good. I did take this thing back out because I just wanted to also tell you that I did check the two fuses over here. You just pop off these covers and those were fine. And the way that I cleaned this up was I ended up using sandpaper and just sanding down the corrosion. I used the electrical cleaner, sprayed it in there. I took like a toothpick, sprayed some electrical cleaner on the toothpick, and just rubbed up and down on the contacts to clean it as best I could. And that was the fix. So as I mentioned earlier, it is very important to go over the electrical stuff on these older bikes because they do need it and they age and corrosion happens. So make sure if you have any of these problems to try doing what I recommended. If the bike does crank over and it doesn't start, it could be something, you know, with the carbs being gummed up, if those haven't been cleaned, or basically the bike hasn't ran in a long time, it could be that. It could be that this thing is a bad relay and you're not getting spark, so check for spark. And there's really not too much to these bikes, which is good. But hopefully if someone was having the same issue that I was having, where literally it was fine one day, and then literally the next time I went to go start it from the next time before I rode it, I had the problem where it wouldn't start at all. And like I said, it was the starter relay. Now, most of the times these things don't really go. I mean, they could, but it's definitely a good idea to try cleaning these contacts out and fixing those, and you could save $100. Definitely try that. And then if, you know, worst comes to worst, you could always just get a new one if needed. But if you could definitely save them by sanding them down and then cleaning them up and spraying them out with compressed air, I would definitely do that. All right, guys. Well, hopefully this video was helpful. I'm glad that my 2001 is all starting up now again. Thank God. I do like to run these things every couple weeks. Obviously, ride it if I can, just to keep the carbs fresh and, you know, not have the carbs get gunked up. And, you know, it's served me well over the years by doing this. All right, so that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If this video was helpful, please leave a like and throw a comment down there. I would definitely appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.